Welcome to the 50th episode of the Mayor's Mixtape. My name is Haley Sue Robinson. I'm the Director of Public Affairs for the City of Pueblo.
And I'm Heather Graham, City of Pueblo Mayor. I was going to say something else.
We got you so excited. We got you so excited about the 50th episode. You forgot what you do or who you are and where you work.
Yeah. How can I?
I know. It's exciting, right?
Yes.
Can you believe we've been doing this for 50 episodes, Mayor?
I know. Almost a whole year.
I've only missed one. I missed your Christmas episode where you and Chief of Staff McCain wished everyone happy holidays. So I've only been here for 49, but 50 episodes later, here we are.
Yeah, it feels like 100.
I know. It feels like we've been doing it forever. I do want to remind the listener that you can find us on Buzzsprout, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also email us, mayor@pueblo.us, if you have questions or topic suggestions. And since it is our 50th episode, I would like to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share with your friends so we can keep going for another 50 episodes.
Yeah.
We'll get to 100.
Yep.
Woo! Okay, I think I'm more hyped than anyone.
Hyped.
I know. I'm really excited. Okay, so, Mayor, over the weekend, we had the City Council work retreat. Yep. It was a long day of discussion, and it started off with you about a budget presentation with our Director of Finance, our Director of Human Resources, and then our City Attorney. And so I thought if folks maybe missed the live stream or weren't able to attend in person, that maybe we should talk about that. Talk about that a little bit. So can you give us a little bit about the budget and your proposal that you gave to City Council on Saturday?
Sure. So we have our 2027 projections of what that looks like, and it's not looking too hot.
Okay.
So we're projected to only have about $1.2 million in our reserve for 2027.
And I think you should probably tell the listener, what's the city's budget for 2026?
$117 million.
Okay, $117 million, and we're going to have $1.2 million left in reserves.
If everything stays
the
same, right? So sales tax just stays flat.
Okay.
No declines, no additional expenditures. That's what we're looking at, $1.2 million.
And last year, we had a decrease in sales tax.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, so
it's right around, what, 5%?
Yeah, like 5.7%.
Okay.
Which there was some anomalies from 24 to 25. So in actuality, it wasn't that high because we had a large audit. The city audited, received about $4 million from an audit that we did. And so that factors in, and that's what drives that number.
Those were the large lump sums that we received.
In August, September, and October. Yep.
Okay.
And so that drives that percentage much higher than it actually is. So, I mean, it's not terrible doom and gloom if you remove that $4 million out. But what I'm telling council and the public is the same story I've been telling for 2 years since I got here, right? It's that our expenditures are outweighing our revenues.
Sure.
And so the only thing we can do is cut or find a way to increase revenue. And when I'm talking about increasing revenue, I'm not talking about, upping the fees at City Park at the rides, which was what we talked about this weekend. We're $10 million over budget, so 10.3. So if we carry that 10.3 into 2027, we don't have enough to make up
the difference.
So we're going to have to start getting creative. Obviously, we're a very service driven business here at the City of Pueblo. All of our money goes to services, goes to people providing those services, right? Not necessarily tangible items. So our payroll at the city is $100 million a year, roughly. And the only thing that we can reduce in our budget, we've cut nonprofit funding, we've reduced all operating in the city by 15%. I've frozen 48 positions since I've been the mayor. So 18 the first year, 20.
And those were actually abolished. Those
ones are gone. Yeah,
frozen.
Yep.
And then you froze 7 more. Oh, 24
in for this year's budget, and then we've frozen 7 so far this year. So
31.
We're doing what we can to help on the top end, right? So as positions come up in the city, we don't repost, we hold, and so that's been about a $3 million savings from November till now.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to get city council, especially new members of city council, prepared for what these conversations are going to look like come November with their budget that they're going to have to pass. My budget that I create, they have to pass, right? To let them know that we need to start reducing spending now, as we've been for the last 2 years.
But you're having the budget conversation earlier than normal. I mean, I feel like
because we know what the projections are. Right?
Yeah. We normally kind of start the budget conversation, I would say, in like May. Then you have your internal department meetings, June, July, August. That was also mentioned that you would invite council to attend those meetings. And then we normally start to have budget presentations like September, October, and then we pass the budget in November. So it's the beginning of March, and we're having those conversations now. Why did we start to have those conversations so early?
Because we know we're going to. We know that we have a huge gap to fill, and we have the budget conversation every day, right? Internally, like. What can we cut? What can we reduce?
Where can we save?
Where can we save? Yeah, what does that look like? What kinds of grants can we use? What kind of money can be used for? Or if it's grant dollars, can it be used for this instead of this?
Sure.
So we've been pretty creative in what we've been able to do so far. And so I want City Council to be aware that 27, as I've said for 2 years, will not be like it was in 25 and 26. We do not have the revenue to bridge the deficit in 27.
Sure. One thing that was mentioned, or I would say maybe misunderstood, I saw a lot of comments on Facebook, was that we would be closing parks.
Sure. Yeah, so the parks.
How does that work?
Parks don't close. The parks aren't going to close. The conversation about the parks comes on the back of part-time wages, right?
Okay.
Part-time employees. So people, seasonal and temporary employees who are not employed with the city all year round. So we have about 485 total part-time employees. They work in all different departments within the city.
Sure.
Right now, we're really focusing on the seasonal hires for the parks department. So we're not picking on parks, but they're the ones that we need to hire within 2 weeks. So our union contracts state that if we are going to reduce staffing, it has to be reduced like this: part-time, probationary, and then permanent. So if we are going to furlough people, fire people, you cannot touch full-time people until you've made the attempt to reduce part-time to probationary to then permanent. That is in all 3 of our unions' contracts. It's a protection for their members, for their employees. They don't want to do that. The city doesn't want to do that, right? We're going to fire our long-standing employees and hire part-time people to come do the work of long-standing employees. Like, that's not what we're trying to do. But what we're trying to do is get ahead of it. And if that means reducing services now so that we can keep full-time employees for 2027's budget, that's something that City Council is going to need to look at. This March 13th is when our hiring will begin for our pools, horticulture, concessions, kiddie rides, adult and kids sports. So the city provides these additional quality of life services to the community. and they're all part-time employees who provide these services, right? And so I think that City Council needs to look at not just parks, but overall how to reduce our part-time wages.
Sure.
So that we can try to save our full-time people.
Okay.
And the reason Parks is talked about is because their hiring starts in 2 weeks. And so I needed some kind of direction from City Council. So City Council has been provided what it looks like for all part-time people within each department, what they do. The city pays, so in 2025, we paid $3.5 million in part-time wages throughout all departments. So I have asked City Council to look at reducing not just parks or pools, but hiring part-time employees overall to save full-time staff here at the city.
Sure.
And what could that look like? It could look like opening 2 of the 4 pools. It could look like reducing hours at the rides. It could look like reducing programs. But the parks will remain open. I heard one of the council members ask about, well, are the bathrooms going to remain open? Yes.
Those are full-time employees that normally do that.
We still have full-time employees who tend to the greenery, tend to the bathrooms, help and coordinate with kids in adult programs, help and coordinate with the rides, help and coordinate with the pools. But what does that look like?
We have like supervisors, and those are full-time positions.
But what does that look like if we are asked to reduce?
Okay.
Because in 2027, the city will not have a choice.
Sure.
Because of the CBAs to reduce part-time staff, probationary, and then full-time. So for people who are watching, it's kind of hard to grasp.
It's complex.
And it's not just we're picking on parks. We want to close the pools. That's not what we want to do. But City Council needs to decide, is it 26 that we look at reducing services? Or does something drastically change for 27? Or in 27 are all part-time people gone?
Yeah, so do we start to make the reduction in force this year so that then we potentially have the ability to have that reduced force next year rather than just nobody?
No services at all.
Sure.
So I think that City Council has, some things to review and think about. So they've been given, the revenues that are generated by each of the pools, the parks, the concessions, the sports, and they've also been given all of the other part-time employees within the city.
Sure.
So they can see what part-time staff. I presented this to City Council a year ago.
Last June, I think you did a full presentation.
This is what will come. So now we are at that point of we're here. We've arrived at tough decisions are going to have to be made. Sure.
And I know there were a lot of discussions about what our counterparts at the county are going through.
Yeah.
What does this look like as far as, and you mentioned it, furloughs or laying off employees or unpaid holidays, all those things. One thing in particular that you mentioned, and I think this is helpful for folks to understand is CBA, so that's collective bargaining agreement.
Yep.
And so you talked about what the unions have agreed to. What does that look like moving forward?
So we met with all the unions this year because we know we don't believe that we have the ability to pay, right?
Sure.
We sure don't have the ability to pay all 3.
Yeah.
And so we had some really good conversations. The Page Union has graciously agreed to take a 0. They want to continue a partnership, and they want to protect their people, right?
Sure.
They would rather take a 0 to make sure that their employees are going to be protected for 2027. Same thing with PD. So they've essentially agreed. Page's contract will be on Monday. PD's won't be on till later this month or early April.
Okay.
Fire is in negotiations this year, so we're still working through what that looks like with fire. But our employees understand. They get it. We're thankful. They're trying to be a good partner to the city.
And I think one thing in particular that's important is that, although we don't want to make these hard choices, you're willing to have those hard conversations. I think we can both agree we don't want to close any pools.
No,
we don't want to
not.
reduce any services. I think if we could continue to pave $10 million in roads every year and have as many amenities as possible for our community, that's actually what we want to do.
Sure.
So these aren't choices that make anyone especially happy or excited about making these difficult choices, but they're necessary.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
I think there's like a lot of conversation too with the CAB and the PMJC about
Sure.
Why. Well, if we're in the position we're in, why did the city buy a
why
new
did
air
we
conditioner?
buy those buildings
Why did we
or
buy this building for the staff? And I've made it very clear to city council, to the public.
Sure.
Those two specific projects
Okay.
are capital improvement projects within the city.
Yes.
They are not being paid for by the general fund.
So those don't affect the deficit
have no effect
of the
on
general
deficit.
general fund that we have right now.
None. So they're being paid. So the half-cent sales tax collects interest every year. That interest can only be allocated to capital needs within the city. So
Got it. Okay.
Buildings, infrastructure, something capital tangible. So
Okay.
we are paying our loan payment out of the half-cent sales tax interest account that can only be used. So these buildings that we have purchased, they have absolutely no connection with the general fund or why the city is in the shape that the city's in.
So when people say, that was a $7 million purchase or that was, $9 million investment, and so we're just spending all our money away, that's incorrect.
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's a good
There's two
clarification.
payments. You can find them in the capital improvement line in
Okay.
the budget book, very back of the book. You can see that we only spent $200,000 out of the general fund and capital for 2026, and that was a grant match for the housing department.
Okay.
Every other tangible capital project came out of interest incurred from half-cent sales tax, and you can see it listed in there.
Sure. Okay. That's good clarification as well. I think another thing that you spoke about with council was the need to increase revenue and what that potentially looks like.
Yep.
So I assume we're going to continue to have those conversations.
Yeah, I mean, so we have to do something, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money I close in accounts and revert back to that's one-time money. So that's not a continuous stream of revenue. I mean, everybody's heard me say it. The city gets 3 pennies for every dollar that's spent in the community. That it's amazing that the city's been able to sustain to where we are today, but a lot of that has to do with because we don't have police officers. So we budget for 231. We have 150. So that money rolls over every single year, and that is what keeps the city afloat.
Right.
The good news is we're hiring police officers, so we don't have that money to roll over every year. So you're also seeing
it's like a catch-22.
Yep.
Like we're glad that the force is increasing and that we're increasing police officers that are available to respond. But that's also a little bit been our saving grace for
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you're seeing that general fund future appropriations line not what it was, right?
Sure.
And because I've frozen all these positions in the city, you're also not seeing that money carry over. So
Sure.
I have done everything within my ability. So now it's going to take some help from the city council to figure out what we're going to do for 2027. We also are bringing forward a voluntary separation program.
Okay.
For employees. If you've worked at the city, on March 9th, you're going to be able to apply if you're ready for retirement, and the city will you'll come, you'll say what your intent is, how many years you've worked. The max amount of payout is going to be $25,000 if you've worked 25 years or more.
Okay.
And once you decide to retire in May, that's how quickly it will be.
March to May.
Yep, March to May will be the whole process. So the city will pay this employee out with the budgeted money from their specific position for 2026. All of their money will be a salary savings back into the general fund, and then we'll freeze that position as they leave. So it's another way to increase attrition at the city to try to save the city some additional dollars.
Sure. And I know that's one thing that a couple of members of council voiced too, is that we have this growing government, or that we've just increased how many employees we have. But you said 48 or 49 folks that you've frozen since you've been in office.
So the City of Pueblo has 759 employees. Okay. I know this because I had to look it up because there was some unfactual information that was being spread on social media last week saying the city employed 2,000 people, which is fake news. So 759. Okay. So take 759. We have 231 sworn officers, right?
Okay.
And we have about 170 firemen. So you take that minus the 759 and you're left with a little over 350. So 350 general service supporting employees for police and fire and public safety in a city of 110,000 people. That's not really a lot of people. Yeah.
Especially when, to your point earlier, we're a service-driven organization.
Service, right?
So, transportation,
Street
paving
sweepers,
roads,
paving, engineers, attorneys, finance,
housing, infrastructure, wastewater. The services we provide are tangible things that people can see or they use, drive on our roads every day, play at our parks. All those things. Okay. Anything else that we didn't cover from the discussion Saturday?
I don't think so.
Okay. I think that was a good recap.
More conversations. But we're not closing the parks. We're not. We're looking at what needs to be done.
Sure.
And a reduction overall in the city, not just parks or pools or kiddie rides or programs. That's not the goal.
Sure. Okay, that sounds great. We also need to have a legislative update. That's been something that we haven't talked about yet so far, but
what I don't want to talk about it's trash.
We had a pretty lengthy update last night though from our lobbyist. So Brian, I thought maybe you could give us some insight on the bills that the city is following and what that looks like up at the state capitol.
Yeah, so kind of the most talked about bill at the Capitol right now that our lobbyist brought up first is the Senate Bill 26-97, which is the decriminalize adult commercial sexual activity that was introduced by our senator here, Nick Henriksen. Basically what it does is decriminalize prostitution, and they have it as a issue of statewide concern. So if this passes, it means that we cannot say as a municipality that we want to keep prostitution illegal in Pueblo.
Okay.
This, if you go on the state legislative website, this is the most heated bill right now.
Right.
And that's why our lobbyist brought it up, and that it really originated from Pueblo. Some of the other ones, if you've been following, there's a trio of bills starting with
before you go to those others, I think one thing that's important is about a week and a half ago, Chief Noller did an interview with the Pueblo Chieftain, and they asked for some stats for prostitution. And we had 2 last year, and 1 the year before, and 1 the year prior. So this isn't necessarily something that...
Statewide concern.
Yeah,
or even local concern, I would say, in Pueblo, as far as prosecution of criminal activity specific to prostitution.
Yes.
We know we get a lot of calls for service or folks are concerned about it, but as far as prosecution of the crime, we literally have a handful.
Yeah, and I think that that's across the board from what I've heard on some of the people talking about it. Generally, if it's considered statewide concern, it means that there's a problem. So,
got it. Okay.
One specific example would be the needle exchanges. So that was deemed a statewide concern. And that's because this was an issue in all communities across the board. I think Gil said it right, where he's broken in predicting what will come up and how far it will go. So, again, this is one that you can reach out to your Senator Nick Henriksen here in Pueblo, and we'll post that information if you have concerns with this. There's a few other ones that we've talked about that the city and council passed a resolution opposing. It's House Bill 1037. Also, let me go through this. I believe it's Senate Bill 1070 and 1071. And what those do is they'll severely impact our, it was Senate Bill 70 and Senate Bill 71. They'll severely impact our real-time crime center because they deal with both the purchase of data, surveillance, LPRs, that's talked about a lot. These bills, I know Senate Bill 70, the testimony went to like midnight the other night on it, and they are amending it. There's a fiscal note on it, so they're saying that it may be too expensive to implement on a local municipality, but then they may roll over some of that to Senate Bill 71. So they may just take it and put it in another bill and push it forward. But if these pass, it will severely hinder our real-time crime center. I know Denver has one. I believe Castle Rock has one, and there's a few other ones that are being set up.
Aurora's been standing one up.
I think Aurora has one. Denver has the drones as first responders, similar to Pueblo. This will basically make it nearly impossible to do the job, which our real-time crime center, there's one specific case that would not have been able to be solved if these were signed into law, where there was a shooting and they had to take this data, and the shooting was random. The person that was killed was not connected to the person committing the shooting, and using our real-time crime center, including our LPRs, they were able to go back and track this and find the suspect and bust the suspect and basically make the arrest. So those are three, and we'll post the links to those, but they're actively being pushed right now. One thing the legislature likes to do is they say no more bills after this date, and then magically every day there's more bills that are dropped. And it's like this one specifically that would impact our PURA, Urban Renewal Authority. I think they introduced it either Thursday or Friday last week, and then it's already up. So the way council works, if we do a resolution like on these other three bills, it takes 2 weeks, at least, to get a resolution. But when you drop a bill Thursday and start having hearings and talking about it the next week, it's impossible for us to take an official position like that. So individually, the councilors all did sign a letter opposed to Senate Bill 26-129, which mitigate impacts of tax increment financing, which is TIF, that urban renewal uses for development, economic development, revitalization, jobs. This is all tied to economic development and building back our city, fighting blight in the community, these sort of things. So this just makes it more complicated, puts more regulations on it, and it
changes
creates
the time frame, right?
It changes the time frame.
From 25 to 15.
I think that one they may have amended out, but there's still other ones on it that it creates uncertainty what it is. So one of the most important things in economic development that I've learned in my career, it's if you have uncertainty, it hinders economic development, and this will create a lot of uncertainty and basically take those tools away that PURA or any urban renewal uses for economic development and removing blight. So there was that one, and we are officially opposed to that one now. There is one other one that was spoke about last night that's actually a positive bill. It's House Bill 26-1140, and this is local government impact hearings, and Representative Ty Winter, who covers a sliver of Pueblo, this is one of his, and it's actually moving forward. We thought that it would be dead in the water, and it's on second reading today. So what this does is it takes 5 bills that would impact a local government. So for instance, like the real-time crime center bills, and it would require that they do hearings on those with the local government. So
for specific municipalities.
For no less than an hour, and no more than 2 hours of the 5 bills.
Okay.
I think originally they wanted to do sort of like a field hearing, so they would have the hearing here in Pueblo or wherever it would be.
Sure.
But the way I read it, I think it would be at the state, but they would identify these 5 bills, and they would be required to have a hearing in front of the entire body
to find out how it affects us locally.
So,
got it.
Last year we did the fairness and transparency in municipal court. The mayor, the chief, city attorney, they were up there weekly testifying on this, sometimes at 1 a.m, which they like to do. This would require them to have this hearing in front of everybody to hear why we're opposed to it.
Okay. So it wouldn't happen in the middle of the night. Folks would actually hear this.
They would schedule it.
Yeah.
And you would have a spot. You wouldn't have to go stand in line for what do we do? Like 10 hours one day just waiting to talk about it. So I'm excited about this one. I know a lot of people have talked about doing this for years. 15 years ago, this was a topic of how this impacts local jurisdictions. And it's always been pushed aside. And then when Gil Romero told me last night that it's on second reading today, I was kind of shocked that they're actually moving it forward. And it has some support on both sides of the aisle. So that'll be a good one. Currently, we're tracking about 67 bills that will impact Pueblo.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I would say 60 of those are negative.
Okay.
Everything from land use bills. There's one that makes it so that you have to allow development or somebody to build a single-family home on a 2,000 square foot piece of land. So I think right now we're at about 2,500. There are some areas, we actually do allow this in some areas, but it would go through and say, nope, you can no longer have your planning and zoning like limit the size of a lot that you
I wish they would take a year off or 5.
The legislature?
Yeah.
Well, I
so
think
Peter.
I haven't spoke about this in over a year, but one of the problems I see is that you're allowed as a legislator to introduce up to 5 bills. It doesn't mean you have to do 5 bills. What that turned into was everybody does 5 bills, no matter what.
Yeah,
and
Gil,
that's why we get hit with like 700 pieces of legislation.
He said this is the most legislation he's seen in his career, and it's at a max pace. He said, last night we were 50 days in, so today's day 51.
Yep.
And it's full speed ahead for the remaining 69 days.
The other thing is they do have a deadline to introduce bills, which should have been, I think, 2 weeks ago. And then the majority leader or the president can say, like, allow bills to be introduced later. And we've seen that. Some of these bills came out 2 days before that the legislature was supposed to close.
Sure.
And, I mean, just this week and last week alone, we're seeing them daily being introduced. There's another transit bill that would severely put an unfunded mandate on our transit system. Luckily, they've been very vocal about that, all the municipalities, because some of them, they're to the point where they just won't have public transit anymore if it passes.
Which isn't an option.
No.
I mean...
The latest on that is they may amend it to only include ridership of over 10 million, which would basically be RTD, would be the only one that it impacts. So they actually listen on that one if they do amend it. But that's kind of my update now.
Sure.
I can send a list if you want to post that too for everybody to look at and see what's going on.
Cool.
And we'll get that up here in the next day or so.
That sounds great.
Get people riled up.
Yep.
You like getting people riled up?
Do.
Okay.
I want people to know what's going on.
Well, and I think too, like specifically with some of these, like the urban renewal bill, right? Nobody knows what that's about.
Yeah,
and if you just glance at it, you'd be like, what?
Who cares?
I don't care. But then when you read how that severely hinders our economic development and our partner with Pura here, it's terrible for the community. But the average person won't look at that and say, that's a bad thing.
Well, they just don't understand. I think that's kind of to your point of the mass influx of bills. It's really difficult for the average everyday citizen to track these and understand how this could potentially impact us. And we might not see the impact today in Pueblo, but something with TIF, 15 to 25 years, there's a big difference. Future. Yeah. So it's important.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Mayor, anything else that you want to add?
Nope.
Okay. That sounds great. Thank you again for 50 episodes. And I want to remind the listener, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Buzzsprout, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on local channel 17. And you can email us at mayor@pueblo.us for your questions or topic suggestions. And we will see you next week.